Welcome to the Above and Below podcast, a show where above-average guys with below-average intelligence talk about everything nerdy, geeky, and otherwise. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown as four dudes work to understand their place in the vast expanse of the universe. So sit back, spark up a hookah, grab a beer, and enjoy. Hi everyone, I'm Brad.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Steven.
And this is Tony.
So guys, anybody want to talk about anything today? Like any conspiracy theories they may have?
Actually, I want to talk about like my week prior to what we're about to get into. I had like the first D&D session that made me like fall in love with D&D.
You're welcome.
It was a ride. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun, and I was shaking. I was sweating. I was so fucking hyped. It was all because of Brad here. This man of a man with his excellent storytelling, and it was beautiful. So my week started off just absolutely fantastic.
Well, you're making me feel like a really shit DM.
No, you're great too. You were my first DM. You took my.
You don't
D&D
understand
DM.
how proud I was of myself when
What?
Bobby goes home and he then messages me on Facebook and he goes, "I fell in love with D&D tonight," and I'm just like, "Oh shit!
It was like my first.
Oh,
Like,
I did it! I did something right."
it was like my first main character moment kind of thing. You know.
To be fair, though, the campaign I played with you kind of jumped in halfway, and we didn't get
I
to do
flew
much.
in through a
Unfortunately.
window. I created the character in 20 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't get to do much with your character, unfortunately. But we have been in talks of creating a what's the name of the DM
The
style?
gods must be crazy.
Yeah, where essentially every person there's multiple DMs and it switches every session. So it's a fucking chaotic mess that I don't even begin to understand how it'll work. But we'll talk about it.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. So anyway, anyone got anything fun?
I
to
feel
talk about?
conspiracal today. I've got them theories.
Conspiracal dill pickles.
What you don't understand is when the Mayans predicted 2012 was the end of the world, it was actually 2020.
Do explain.
Yes, indeed.
Please go on.
Pulls out a
December
bubble pipe.
31st, 2020, according to the Ethiopian calendar, which is about 8 years
Do you know the way?
behind
Oh,
our...
Sorry.
It's about 8 years behind our calendar. So in 2020, December 31st was supposed to be the end of the world according to the Mayan calendar.
They're not on the Gregorian calendar, are they?
No, actually,
No, or they are on.
they weren't on
wait.
any calendar technically, but it just depends on which calendar you're using to measure their time.
Okay.
So you're telling me we're living in a simulation right now?
Yeah,
Because
no. I mean,
Or is
the
our
world
light
ended-
flashing before our eyes? Was I actually a 20-year-old, 21-year-old in 2012?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We're just living.
I don't think that's. I don't think that's gonna hold up in a bar.
So,
Guys, I promise I'm 21 in another dimension. The
wait.
world's actually over. I'm here as a 21-year-old.
explain your weird time travel theory you're on right now.
So yeah, no. I mean, think about it. December 31st, 2020. What happened? COVID.
The new year.
That was the end of the world. COVID was the end of the world. We're living in a different timeline since then.
I mean, I hate to really rain on your parade, but a couple of things. One, technically, COVID was a thing beforehand. It just didn't get huge until the turn of the 2020. And actually, we didn't start getting shut down until like March. But we're also talking about the Mayans who believed that the Earth was on the back of a crocodile floating in the vast ocean.
No, those guys seem to make the most sense to me.
They were high as hell.
Clearly, this is the calendar we should be following, folks.
Absolutely.
The Earth, it's not flat, it's not spherical, it's not a dinosaur, it's on the back of a fucking crocodile.
What do you mean the Earth isn't flat?
You shut the fuck up.
Well, technically,
I'm sorry, let me just keep going east and I'll fall off the fucking
you know
world.
how I know the Earth isn't flat? Because if it was, Disney would have been at the fucking edge paying people to bungee jump off the side of the fucking Earth.
That is the
actually,
best argument.
actually, the Earth is flat because it's 70% non-carbonated water.
I'm gonna carbonate.
That's
the
time to
ocean.
shoot him. Give me the lighter, I gotta light this man on fire.
Oh, man.
I've heard that joke before, and it's always good.
It is. It's hilarious.
So, I have a different conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
It's
mine
actually-
was bullshit.
It's actually based in wrestling. Wrestling.
All right.
All right. I'm going to paint the scene for you.
Ooh.
It's 1997. Right now, there are two major promotions, the WWF and WCW.
It's all unfolding.
And the war is brewing between the two companies for supremacy on Monday nights and for the best promotion. Right now, and around this time, the WWF wasn't doing too hot. Their biggest star was looking to jump ship.
Okay.
And who was that?
Well, sir, that is Bret Hart.
Oh, I knew that.
So, what we're going to talk about is what is known as the Montreal Screwjob. So, 1997 rolls around. The WWE is kind of struggling, and with him being such a huge star, they couldn't keep him anymore. And so, WCW paid him a handsome amount to jump ship,
Okay.
which he took. And a lot of people would jump ship because not only were they getting paid more, but they were getting paid more to work less hours with WCW. So that's why a lot of the big stars would jump ship to WCW, like Diesel and Razor Ramon. Those were being offered huge contracts with less work that they had to do. So of course, like, why wouldn't you jump ship? Here was the problem. Bret Hart, not only was he one of the biggest stars in the WWF, he also held the title at the time.
Okay.
And he was feuding with Shawn Michaels. And I believe that they had bad blood already. They didn't get along too much. So, come Survivor Series, it is in Montreal, his home city, Bret Hart's home city. And he did not want to lose this title in his home city because he wanted the fans to have a good time.
Why would you? I don't want to lose my title in my home city.
What happened was Mr. McMahon was like, no, we're not letting him jump ship with the title. Fuck that shit. We're going to screw him over. And so he talked to Shawn Michaels and Earl Hebner, who was the referee, and was like, hey, lock him into his finisher, and we're going to say he tapped out, and we're going to ring the bell. And that's what we're going with. And according to the stories, Earl Hebner didn't know this until literally night of. When he got there, they pulled him aside and was like, hey, he's going to take a dive. Like, we're holding him down. You're going to ring the fucking bell. And he's like, oh, all right. So the match starts, and I believe it was the main event. So the match starts, they start doing their thing, and towards the end of the match, not only is he going to lose this match, but Shawn Michaels locks in Bret Hart's finisher on him, the sharpshooter, puts him in a figure 4 leg lock, and you see that, like, he's holding on real tight, and you start seeing Bret Hart start struggling to get him off, and you see the ref go, ring the bell, and the bell rings, and Shawn Michaels quickly lets go, grabs the title, and runs backstage. So all of a sudden, here he is. He wasn't supposed to lose that night. He's like, holy shit, the crowd turns on everything. Because they're like, well, fuck, our golden boy just lost. And so before he goes backstage, he mouths thank you and does like a finger writing in the air, says WCW. And he walks backstage. And he is so fucking mad. He is throwing monitors. He is destroying shit. He's furious. I've read, and don't quote me on this, but I believe he also punched Mr. McMahon before he left the building. Because they just completely fucked him over.
I've heard stories about that. Yeah.
And this is considered one of the biggest events in wrestling. Was the Montreal Screwjob. And the conspiracy is that it was all a work. It actually was all planned out as it was supposed to happen.
Oh,
So they're good
like
actors.
Yeah.
Well,
they
here's the
acted
problem.
thing
So
out.
here's the thing. So people have come forward and are like, yeah, no, this was definitely a work. Like, it was too perfect of timing. That this couldn't have happened the way it did. But the problem is, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Mr. McMahon, and Earl Hebner have never come out and publicly stated that the Montreal Screwjob was a work.
So that's like one of those moments when wrestling was real.
That was a
Like-
very real moment in wrestling.
It reminds me of that one scene where, I can't remember the movie, Patrick Bateman, Willem Dafoe's in it. What's that called?
I have no idea.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, so
Nope.
let me just
Yes,
Google
sir.
Patrick Bateman. William Dafoe was in it.
Patrick Bateman is who Christian Bale was playing, and he was a murderer.
Oh,
American
okay.
Psycho?
Is that the scene where Willem Dafoe shot the scene, doing it 3 different times, where he he knew Patrick Bateman was the killer, or Christian Bale was the killer. It's American Psycho. Yeah. So do you know about that?
No, but
So
no.
it reminds me of that because like they know it,
Mhm.
and a lot of other people think they know it. So what they did for that scene was they had Willem Dafoe play or do the scene 3 different times. One where his character knew, one where he didn't know, and one where he there was a third option.
Right.
So it kept the audience guessing,
Mhm.
and it really is like it's a stellar scene to watch.
Okay. Yeah.
So it reminds me that's cool as fuck. That's wild.
And like you think about it, and like in wrestling circles, this happened in '97, and this moment is still talked about till this day. And like and to like hint to like the legitimacy of the whole situation, like Bret Hart and Mr. McMahon were not on good terms for a very long time, and they didn't make up till like 10 years later. It might just be all a work, a really good work.
I mean, that
Or
would be pretty
it could have been real. It could have been an actual screw job done in Montreal.
That's kind of grounded in reality. But speaking of Stargate, so
You lose the IT guy with that every fucking time you do it.
my conspiracy theory is that in 2003, the Bush administration invaded Iraq for not their oil. Nobody gives a shit about oil. We have oil. What he wanted was Saddam Hussein's Stargate.
Oh, please, dude.
Oh my fucking god.
So apparently, I don't know a super lot of the details. I've just been looking it up because we decided to do this. Apparently below Saddam's palace, there's like a hidden chamber. There was like a tomb or something that they believed had the Stargate in it, and they believe they've had it since as early as the 1200s, when Genghis Khan and the Mongols invaded and sieged Baghdad because Genghis Khan was, I guess, looking for alien artifacts and shit like that. So he sieged Baghdad, but they never found anything. Then it comes to the Nazis. Germany knew, like, apparently everyone, all the governments know that they have a Stargate, right? Saddam made not Saddam, but someone else made a deal with the Nazis. Like, you protect us eventually, and you'll
Give us a Stargate.
you'll get access
What a
to it,
deal.
or some shit like that. So then the Nazis end up defending Iraq during some shit. I don't remember. I don't know what exactly it was. But then it comes to the Bush administration, right? And apparently Bush wants the Stargate. And he wants it bad.
Listen, man, I've heard a lot of stupid shit that the Bush administration has done. This is taking the cake. Like,
What are them children's learning? Something he said.
Another theory about it is the year before 2000, like in 2002, someone discovered the tomb of Gilgamesh.
My
And
favorite D&D character.
you know, Gilgamesh is an Indian hero god who had a whole treasure trove of weapons and artifacts that could bend reality and stuff like that.
And the motherfucker just had a Stargate.
Apparently. So
I just found it.
then George Bush invades Iraq to get the Stargate, right? And then it all boils down to the whole movie and the whole show is just a soft declassification of the existence of the Stargate.
bro.
Seeing how the public would react to such knowledge. And Stargate did an episode similarly, where on the 200th episode, they were trying to... They were talking about like the declassification of the Stargate and everything, and they had a movie producer, or a TV producer on the show. He was coming up with all these like stories and stuff about like just how they would make it into like fiction to spin it to the public.
So you're telling me that all this is real?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely real.
Do you think we got the Stargate? Do we have it in the U.S. currently, you think?
So Gilgamesh.
Oh yeah, no, Trump
Did
uses it on
9/11.
weekends.
Yeah. Gilgamesh did 9/11, Bush did 7/11.
There's actually so Stargate is it's not filmed, but like one of the main locations is Cheyenne Mountain. Basically, they just did a couple of entry shots for Cheyenne Mountain, and they just used that the whole show, and then they filmed it on a set, obviously. But in Cheyenne Mountain, there's a room, a door that says Stargate Command on it. It's a broom closet.
Wow.
That's a great cover, though. Like,
Yeah, who
If
would
you-
look in
like-
the broom closet?
So if you do have something like a Stargate, right? So you have a Stargate.
Oh yeah.
How do you
I
make
won't
that
let it around.
so implausible to everybody to believe that it's real?
It's in a broom closet.
You make a TV show about it.
Yeah, no, I'm fully sold on this.
I mean, I'm weirdly following the logic, but like at the same time, fuck you.
Also,
It's so stupid. It's smart.
right? It's a masterful idea.
no,
and then-
I'm sold. You've sold me, sir. We have a Stargate now.
I read another thing about apparently Saddam Hussein used it and made friends with some aliens, and they helped him create like scorpion monsters.
Oh,
And apparently
So
there's
now
I
you're
remember
getting-
they were used in 2002 against the U.S.
Scorpion King.
soldiers. The Scorpion King. Oh my
Dwayne
god.
The Rock Johnson is a scorpion
Whoa,
from the
whoa.
Stargate that
Oh,
built
shit.
the Bushes.
The Bushes.
The Bush administration created the Scorpion King. Wow.
Oh my god. Bush did 5'11".
But like so many countries made a play on the Stargate. So okay, but apparently like he made these scorpion people, and I guess some soldiers had some unexplained wounds once or some shit.
They didn't notice a
Scorpion
scorpion
people.
monster
The
stabbing
conspiracy theorists are chalking up to they were fighting the scorpion monsters,
oh yeah.
and they killed them all. That's why we don't you don't see any anymore.
Oh, of course.
Circling back to another conspiracy theory, which I think kind of makes sense to the Scorpion and the fucking aliens and all that. Let's think about, so kind of feeding off of like the pyramids being made, right? How people are like, how could they have such knowledge to build these huge mega structures that are still built and still standing to this day? Something else that I think kind of goes off of like aliens is that a lot of ancient civilizations have depictions of gods that are very similar across the world. And these these nations didn't have connections between each other, but yet they're all depicting certain gods that are very, very similar to each
They're
other.
in the exact same way. It's the same with dragons.
Right. You were saying, I think we were talking about that in the car. You were like, they've talked about dragons before, so leads to the legitimacy that maybe dragons existed and these ancient civilizations had them or saw them or fought them.
So speaking of Stargate, right?
There's a theory that the pyramids are a Stargate.
They are a Stargate?
That they make a massive Stargate because of the way they line with the stars and the shape of them.
Oh,
I don't know a whole lot about it, but when I was looking through theories, that was one of them. And I meant to bring it up to you, and I didn't like save anything on it. But yeah, there's a theory.
Well, I'm
behind
happy I
that.
talked about it.
So
Yeah.
in Stargate itself, the pyramids are actually landing pads for the big vessels that have this big pyramid-shaped hole in them that they rest on. They rest
Okay.
on the pyramid.
Well, you got to think, because those were built with such knowledge that even in the pyramids, during certain times of the year, the sun will point in a very specific direction and like light up a room or something like that. Like, not delegitimizing the knowledge that they had, but bro, how could they do it?
Bro, you could give me a phone and a crew of people that know what they're doing, and I still wouldn't be able to be that accurate.
Yeah,
No.
they. Not to debunk anything.
That's your
but-
Gen Z laziness.
So interestingly enough, recently I can't remember exactly which college figured this out, but they actually assembled a team that was able to successfully build a recreation of a pyramid using just sleds, wet sand, and they made it all work.
Yeah, but it was a small scale. It wasn't to the...
Yeah, they had like 1 billion slaves, dude. Like,
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that in that situation, they had the means. They probably could have figured it out. But the mathematical calculations that they had to be able to do, and the knowledge of astrology that they had to have at that time, is you understand that using today's knowledge with old tools is more advanced than what we would consider old knowledge and those same tools, right?
yeah, I think they guessed. I think they,
That-
They
did
just
it.
guessed.
Yeah,
those
no, you're
three
right.
or-
They
I
guessed,
think
they
they just
guessed
did it.
3 giant pyramids that have outlasted anything on this fucking earth.
Yeah, stone doesn't break down like other things do.
No, but they fall. And
It's a desert. It's dry and fucking inhospitable out there. There's barely. I mean, it's windy, but it's not like fucking destroy stone windy. Like,
How do you know?
it's just a desert.
Have you been there?
No, but
Have you been to the pyramids?
I know what it's like around the pyramids.
How do you know? Have you been there?
You know what YouTube is?
Well, I played.
It's not being there in person.
No,
But I'm just saying,
I
look
guess.
how long they've lasted and the condition that they've remained.
And the length of build. They take a
If
long
they are
time to build.
1 millimeter off of that build at the time, the whole thing would have been fucked.
Yeah, probably.
No,
And they just
it
guessed?
would have, and they guessed.
Yeah, no, they guessed. They just did it.
I don't know. I think having modern knowledge with old tools is a lot different than having old knowledge in old tools.
Yeah, no, they just did it.
Oh yeah, sure. Whatever.
They were like,
Tutankhamun was like, yeah, I mean that kind of looks right.
100%.
Yeah, it'll stay for about 10, 15 years once I'm dead.
You know,
And then it'll fall. We'll use the stones for the next Sphinx.
you know what the most interesting thing about that is, though, to think about is look at people today, right? We're just kind of a bunch of random assholes. You got some people out there doing some math and deciding on building architecture and stuff like that. So they definitely had people like that back in the day. And it comes down to the fact that they were just like, oh, we just put it here and the sun will do this and it'll be good.
No, but you see, even today with all of our great advances in technology,
We
and
could do
smart-
that
No.
today.
And as smart, you think that, but then there's cases like the Millennium Tower that they built in San Diego, where they built this massive shining tower to the heavens, and it's leaning, and they just can't fix it, and they don't know why it's leaning, and it's just leaning. It was planned to lean because skyscrapers lean when they settle on their foundation. But this one's it was supposed to lean like 6 to 10 centimeters. It's leaning like 60 fucking centimeters.
And Tower Pizza.
That's not a big deal at all, 60 centimeters, but from way up high, it's
Skyscraper.
like the top of it's like a few feet over from where it should be, and that bitch gonna fall.
That'll
Yeah,
be
no,
cool to
it's-
see on camera.
I mean, you know what that actually sounds more like in comparison? Back then, these people, like, the slaves were obviously forced to do what they were told to do, and you had the people who were worshiping the pharaoh, doing what they were needing to do. They had motivation and dedication back then. You know that it's 100% the reason why that tower's leaning today is because some lazy fucking contractors were out there like, that looked good. We'll just slap it up like that.
Okay, but
Man, I don't know. People are whipping me.
Right? I'm more motivated.
No,
I'm not motivated. I'm like, fuck these guys.
yeah, right.
Well, obviously,
I'm gonna leave a little bit of sediment over here and over there, and eventually it'll fuck it all
I
up.
don't think you've been whipped before, and I'm neither have I. But like, man, I'm just saying.
One, there's information out there that claims that it wasn't slaves. They didn't have slaves.
I'm gonna whip you, Brad,
They had paid workers.
and you're gonna tell me if you're gonna do a bad job.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna phone it in no matter what. Whipping, paying.
I was
A
gonna
lot
say.
of whipping. It's gonna be a lot.
But I'm not a professional.
yeah,
were they.
You probably fuck it up
You know what
anyway.
another fun conspiracy theory is? The bodies the teleportation is real because there's bodies inside of the Great Wall of China that couldn't fucking be there.
You get teleported inside the wall by accident?
Yeah.
That's funny
Wait.
as fuck.
How so? Like,
Where's Dave? Ah, shit! He's in the
He's in
Great
the
Wall
wall.
of China!
fuck? Well, gotta recalculate that. Can't do that again.
You mean teleportation or like time travel?
No,
Like
Teleportation.
Yeah, because it's like, all right, I want to teleport to the top of the
It's Attack on
Yeah.
Titan.
what?
They're inside the walls.
Also, time,
I mean, indirectly.
time travel sounds like a great thing, except if you travel back in time, Earth's not going to be where it was.
No.
No.
So.
Well, you would have to is there a way to
There'd be a
calculate
lot
it
of
to like the
calculations.
point where
Oh,
like,
fuck yeah.
like you would have to be like, all right, in so and so we would be exactly here to be able to time travel back. Like it would take a lot more calculations than let me punch in a date and woo,
To be
I'm
fair,
there.
I think anyone who would have time travel figured out would know that.
Right.
And they'd be like, oh, well, we can
Adjust.
adjust for
I don't know.
fucking planetary
I don't-
rotation, drift,
Yeah.
orbit.
I don't know, man.
You would
I
know.
think they just kind of guessed.
They must
Like the
have
pyramid, they just kind of guessed and they're just like, oh shit, I'm here. They just did it every time.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of little conspiracy theories leading up to my big one. I was scrolling through Reddit looking for inspiration because, Reddit is just full of
That's
inspiration.
where I found mine.
So here's the first little one. It's that all rocks are soft until they are touched.
I don't like that. That sounds gross. I just don't like what you said.
The moment they're touched, they tense up, and there's no way of knowing.
They're,
And
like,
there's no way
scared.
of knowing by throwing it at somebody, because why would it untense during, movement?
They're like scared? Are you telling me rocks are scared?
It kind of reminds me of. In the one book I read by Brandon Sanderson, the Stormlight Archive,
Great book.
the grass knows when a storm is coming, so it pulls into the ground.
Oh, the grass.
It's like that. Like the
no.
grass is like it knows, so it goes away. It pulls into the ground.
No, it guessed.
No, he knows.
No, he guessed.
Kinda like how
like how like the
turned inside out.
pyramids were made. They just kind of guessed.
So rocks are soft until you touch
But what
them.
about the situation in which like there's a rock holding up another rock? Is that rock constantly
The rocks
soft?
aren't scared of each other.
No, but
They're
that's
both
what
soft.
I'm saying. So like if a rock is holding up like a rock, so like let's say it's in a T. Let's say it's an example of T pose. Like
Okay.
so the bottom rock would be soft if we're not touching it, right? Or do they tense up with each other? Because then
They
there
might
would be no
tense up with each
structural
other.
support for that top rock
No,
to
they're-
stay there.
They're both soft. They're not bendy.
Yeah,
But they're
not-
soft.
they're solid. They're
Yeah,
solid
still
soft.
Solid soft.
Kind of like you
It's
know
like-
whenever somebody's chunky, like.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't consider that solid.
It's like our
That-
IT's man.
But I could hold somebody
Yeah,
up, right?
But no, not really, because it'll push in. We would see things kind of push into each other and lay on each other if they're soft.
Debunked rocks are not soft.
All right, what else you got?
Fuck
So
rocks.
the reason Disney, have you guys heard of like Walt Disney on Ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, they froze his head.
Okay, so the reason why they created the movie Frozen and Disney on Ice is so whenever you looked it up on the internet, you found Disney on Ice and the movie Frozen.
So that people can stop looking up.
So then people stopped looking into that.
Oh.
I totally believe his head's
Oh.
frozen somewhere.
I mean, that's a smart move, though. Like, honestly, that's kind of genius.
Here's two.
That was a good guess.
He wakes up in like 10 years. Are the Jews still here? Yep. Put me back.
So
Wait, did the frozen thing work? Brilliant.
So
Back in cryogenic stasis.
here's two more. The real reason Apple removed the headphone jack was to try to remove Square Pay Systems as a competitor for Apple, up until Bluetooth, of course.
See, that just makes sense. Apple's greedy as fuck. I
Apple-
love Apple phones.
Apple's garbage.
I don't think we ever brought this up while we were recording.
Oh, here we go.
But so while some backstage knowledge for you guys, when we were posting all of our stuff and we were figuring out how to get our podcast up and where to post it, we figured out literally every other motherfucking system except for Apple. Apple Podcast is the most convoluted system and it's not even run by Apple. You know why we know that? Because we messaged their fucking IT. And we're like, hey, yo, motherfuckers, why aren't our podcast posting? It's literally taking us to a thing we have to consent to. If I try to download the PDF, it opens up another fucking link. And then we're like, okay, well then how do we advance it? Well, you're actually going to have to message someone else because although it's named Apple Podcast, it's actually run by a third party. Fuck you. And I at that point, I was like, you know what? We don't need Apple. Like, we're on like 89 other platforms. Listen to us. And so we're just like, no, we're done. And then eventually, through enough gritting our teeth and 7 devices running, we eventually got it fucking working. And then still, it doesn't even really work that well. Because we go into our fucking system to check our videos or our podcast, and then we go to the Apple tab to check ourselves out on Apple, right? And it's just like, nothing exists. Upload a video now. And we're like, what are you talking about? I'm literally pulled it up on my Apple Music, and I see it here. Why are you not showing me anything?
Did you just shamelessly plug us during the, like...
No, not at all. Listen to us today. I didn't do that.
Man, if they're here, they're already here. We're like 25 minutes into talking crazy. If they're here, they're staying. Like,
Here's another funny one. I'm not a huge fan of football. The Rob Gronkowski. Fuck me.
Rob
Gronkowski.
right now, I'm
Didn't
looking at the
actually injure his groin after scoring his 69th career touchdown. He just thought it'd be funny.
I couldn't believe that, though. Our IT guy's losing his shit because he lost football.
It is pretty funny, though.
I would do it for the memes. At 69, like, oh, my dick.
Right?
Here's another one. Well, it's not even another one. It's just a fun fact that's here. MLB pitcher Brandon McCarthy retired with 69 wins and a 4.20 ERA. Is that a thing?
Yeah, Tins, the guy we had on our podcast before, will know what the fuck that means.
Well, yeah. Well, he retired with 69 wins and a 4.20 ERA. So,
Hold that. We'll talk about that with him after
All
the
right.
podcast. But that's
so
actually
here's
pretty
a fun one about the patriarchy. So apparently, jar lids are made tighter, so that women will have to ask men. 98.8% of the time, men are opening up jars for women. And this was interesting, and I was like, oh man, that's kind of stupid. But then I started scrolling through the comments below this one. And some guy was like, hey, I actually worked in a salsa jar factory. Like, not a salsa jar factory, but they put salsa in jars.
Weird job.
I specifically work in the salsa jar factory. The salsa itself, that's not my department. We're going to have to talk to the other building.
Yeah, I'm allergic to tomatoes.
So they would have people come in and actually test the tightness of jars to see how tight they'd be. And he's just like, hey, that makes kind of sense. Wild one, kind of far-fetched, but I just thought it was
specifically it's to keep women down, not to make sure that it doesn't open during transit or open when it's being stocked so that it fucking creates mold or anything. You're right. It's definitely to keep the women down. Out of all the things...
First it was the right to vote. Now they want us to make looser lid jars.
How dare they?
Unbelievable.
Guys, it's probably
the feminists are taking
botulism.
over. I'm an adult virgin. Anyway, another one. This is just fucking funny. JFK shot first.
I saw it.
This is my personal favorite. Not the faith, but just the people as a whole. The Jews buried dinosaur bones to discredit Christianity's creationism. And I think it's the funniest one.
It's the same God.
Can you imagine, like, they're all just sitting in a room. They're like, guys, Christianity is really gaining headway here. How do we just, like, make it not real? And they're like going through the Bible and they're like, well, I believe they believe in creationism. Hey, Johnny, bring the fucking dinosaur bones. We gotta bury them.
Every time someone in this world says Jesus was a Jew, my Catholic grandmother rolls over in her grave.
Here's one more for you, Brad. There's a theory, a conspiracy that the Titanic wasn't the ship that sank. It was the Olympic, her sister ship.
An insurance fraud.
Both ships were made at the same time, but the Olympic had little defect, and they decided to just switch the logos.
Mm-hmm. And they would turn it into like an insurance thing. That they would sink it, and they sank the Titanic, and they'd get all the insurance money. But the real Titanic is still still working.
And the evidence to support that is people who have taken pictures of it underwater have seen where it should say Titanic. The letters M and P are starting to show more prominently, or did.
Oh, I gotta find something about that. That's interesting.
All right.
Titanic, what's great movie.
So my 9 main ones.
Sounds like a classic insurance scam. We're gonna kill 3,000 people to get some insurance money.
But Bush did 311.
People do it.
What about the money?
So yeah, hit us up with your main.
All right, so I'm gonna start with the smaller one first, and this one, I really like this one. So each and every time you die, accidentally, car crash, choking on your own spit in your sleep, you're not dying. Your consciousness is traveling to another reality. And that is why things seem so different. Sometimes the Mandela effect set up here is just you in another reality noticing it.
I didn't need to sleep tonight.
We've had conversations where things kind of turn into existential dread. And I know specifically Brad hates that thought. The fact that you brought that to the table, he's going to be not sleeping tonight.
Okay, so my next one. This one's a bit wild. And that's why I like it so much. It's called Last Thursdayism. And it is the idea that the universe itself was created last Thursday with the appearance of being billions of years old.
Please explain.
Yeah,
I remember last Wednesday. What's going on here?
You think you remember last Wednesday, but really?
Wait, so we recorded 12 episodes of a podcast?
Yeah, no, legit. We were all born last Thursday.
Now here's the thought of that. It just happened last Thursday. So it is the idea that all the memories, everything we have is not real. Fuck, hold on. Let me read my notes. Because this fucked me.
I hope it fucks me.
Under Last Thursdayism, books, fossils, light already on the way from distant stars, and literally everything. Your memories, the Holocaust, 9/11, people who are incarcerated. It was all formed at the time of creation, which is last Thursday, in a state that they appear much older.
Why Thursday?
I don't know. If the world was created 6,000 years ago with the appearance of being billions of years old, what is there to stop us from claiming it was made last Thursday?
Oh,
so it shortened your start date.
It's a counter argument to the
debate on this has raged on since last Thursday.
That's the same logic with the the flying spaghetti monster's the real God because You can't prove him. You can't disprove him, and we can't disprove God.
And
So
that's the thing. The world, the idea that it was made last Thursday is so hard to believe because we perceive time to be like a river. Once you stop viewing it as a river, it kind of makes more sense. Once we get to the next Thursday, will the same question be posed? That is a troubling thought. It's troubling because it makes the past seem like it never happened. The memories, the people in our lives, and the history itself would be lies. You know, as I said, the atomic bombs on Japan, all that stuff. The judicial system falls because criminals aren't actually criminals. We were all made last Thursday with implemented thoughts and the appearance that everything is as old as it seems. So right now, maybe last Thursday we were created, but we don't know that because our memories are telling us that we've lived thousands of Thursdays before that.
So what you're saying is that people assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of weebly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, we're just bouncing all over the place.
What are you quoting?
Doctor Who.
Okay.
That's such a good one.
Makes sense, though. That's exactly what it sounds like. So
man, I'm now questioning. I don't think we should have done this episode. I'm now questioning everything. I came here with like, here guys, here's a wrestling one.
So why don't we?
Here's a lighthearted one, and you guys are like, we're not real. You at home, if you're listening, wink. You're not real. You were created last Thursday. You think you listened to our episode 2 weekends ago? That's not real.
It's an implemented thought. It is time itself. Anyway, so we're all confused, right?
Very.
What? Yeah.
Huh? Who?
Yes.
What? Where am I?
What's happening?
I've been in this basement for weeks.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should just
We can put this confusion into something that we're passionate about.
Huh?
Anger!
If you're listening to this 2 Thursdays ago, actually, we planned this out somehow in the past future, in the days of future past.
I was just gonna
We're
say.
gonna argue. We're gonna argue fucking cereals now.
So, like, you know, you think we're telling you that we're arguing about cereal 2 Thursdays ago.
We had
But
this,
it didn't happen.
we had
You
our
just think it did.
we had our meeting on Wednesday, so all of that was bullshit.
There is
And so now we're recording on a Friday evening. But I guess that happened yesterday. Oh, fuck it.
See, it's also been called Last Wednesdayism, but I like Thursday.
That's literally the exact same logic of why we are and aren't living in a simulation. We'll get into that some other time.
Yeah.
So cereal.
Bush did 111.
What brought up cereal? What's your favorite breakfast cereal, guys?
All right. Mine's the best, and I'm just gonna throw it out there right now. If you don't believe this, you're fucking wrong. Honey Bunches of Oats legitimately is the best cereal that ever existed last Thursday till forever.
That is a weird fucking way to say Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
No, that's wrong. Well, you're just eating a bunch of fucking sugar and shit in the morning. That's terrible for you. And I'm not saying Honey Bunches of Oats is much better.
I don't
but
care if it's terrible for me. The universe was created last Thursday. Live fast, die young. Eat ass, brother.
Live fast, smoke grass, eat ass.
Wait.
Brought to you by...
Wait, before you said yours, Tony, because yours is it's a cardinal sin in
It's
my...
a good choice. It's a well-balanced breakfast.
Motherfucker about to say raisin bread.
No.
Raisin Brand's better
Good,
than
yeah, we're good.
No, okay.
Hit us up.
I'm the youngest here, so I feel inclined to say that I like Frankenberry cereal the most.
Jesus fucking
Oh my
Christ.
god, I love Frankenberry.
Frankenberry is so good, and it only comes around Halloween, and I about shit my pants when I see that pink fucking box. I love when my cereal milk turns fucking pink, because then I can drink it, and it's so good, and it has marshmallows. It's so good, and it...
But does Frankenberries have beautiful, delicious clusters of crunch?
It has marshmallows, Steve!
That's not fucking crunchy!
It has crunchy bits in it. It has marshmallows and crunchiness, and it's sweet, and, you know...
You guys are all thinking with the fucking youth, like with your youth. You guys have your rose-tinted glasses on.
Have your balls...
When was the last time you motherfuckers ate cereal?
Speaking of drop the balls, Grandpa, why don't you talk about your fucking wood chip cereal?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Hit us up.
And he just made me fucking laugh.
Motherfucker wants a bowl of sawdust for breakfast.
Hit us up.
Go ahead. Say shredded mini wheats.
Sawdust.
Shredded mini wheats.
It's frosted mini wheats and they're so good.
No, they're not.
Back in my day.
I literally remember eating that shit when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I would get like a few nuggets in because
they're so good.
And then towards the end, I'm like, God, this gotta end soon.
Because it's all floating around. You're like, I gotta get it.
And they're like big chunks, so it's like one. Oh my God!
Suck all the milk out of it.
Dude,
No.
Go get some tree bark, put some sugar on it, bam, frosted mini wheats.
Guys, it's frosted. It's better.
We understand you had a shitty childhood, but
It was
apparently
horrible!
It all stemmed from his fucking breakfast cereal.
You can't tell me that as a child, being as miserable as you claim to be, that you were eating frosted mini wheats and you're like, this is the best. Nobody ever gave you like Fruit Loops or something and you were like, well, that's pretty good.
No, that's why. Guys, no, that makes perfect
Last Thursday!
No. That makes perfect sense as to why he believes that his cereal was great. His life was shit, and he's just like, these frosted mini tweets bring me small ounces of joy in the morning.
My dad beats me, but I get frosted mini wheats.
It's like that trade me. It's like, I get frosted mini wheats, you beat my ass.
Thanks, Dad. You really love me.
Tony was the commercial kid. It's just Tony getting the shit kicked out of him. And then he's like, after an ass beating, I love to have
It's for athletes. It's his endurance thing.
Part of your balanced breakfast.
Well, if you are facing domestic abuse, please contact somebody.
Yes, please. We joke about it, but we laugh through our pain here. So if that's actually happened to you, please reach out to a friend.
So, guys, they were actually just good. I just
No. Clearly, you were abused as a child. There's some.
Or was he? It was all last Thursday. It was all last Thursday. He thinks he was beat. You only think that you like them. It's okay, Tony.
When's the last time you had them?
To be fair, though, I had.
been a while.
To be fair, though, I did have some honey bunches of oat this morning, and they were just as good as I had them last Thursday.
I'm gonna have a bowl of Frosted Flakes right after
Pull 'em
this
out,
fucking
pull 'em out
podcast.
right now.
I
want to
like
see
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, but Frosted Flakes are like...
You changed your answer?
No, but...
You're indecisive.
No, but Walmart didn't have any Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
But guys,
Walmart didn't have Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You know what? If my name wasn't Brad fucking Baylog.
Do you have my idea again? Stop that!
Dude, when you did that, just as a background, so he just pulled out Brad's ID from his own wallet, and you stole it for like a fucking week before he realized his ID was gone, and then when it all
He didn't realize it was gone. I found it in my wallet again. I opened it up when I was playing PlayStation. I was just like, oh shit, I never gave Brad's so Brad's been driving around for a week without a license because I took it.
You know how mad you would have been if you were like, if the guy that the cop pulled you over is like, license registration, please, and you pull out your wallet.
It's just a note.
And it's like, you don't have your ID, you get a big ass fine, and then you bitch at us about it, like you tell us the story, and then Bobby goes, oh shit, I still have your ID.
Dude, my mom called me when he stole it. She's just like, hey, Brad, pick me up a pack of smokes. I'm like, fine, Mom, I'll do it. I get there, and they're just like, ID, please? And I'm just like, oh, yeah, sure. Fuck.
Well, listen, guys, this has been fun, eye-opening, sad. We've had a lot of emotions today, but I think we can all agree that the world was created last Thursday.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
This has been the best.
So at the time of this recording, which is last Thursday, which I promise you isn't real, tune in next time for another great fucking episode of the Above and Below podcast.
It was also recorded last Thursday.
Or is it? Or do you just think it was created last Thursday?
Billions of years old.
Our podcast has existed before the Mayan calendar, and the Earth is on a crocodile, and Bush did 211.
And speaking of Stargate, well, anyway, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to like and subscribe. Maybe share us with your friends. And as always, have an above average Thursday.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
Oh God, it's not real!